Welcome to the Dripping in Black podcast, where we celebrate Black excellence throughout the Black diaspora. Here's your host, David V. Lewis.
What's up, good people all across the world? This is the Dripping in Black podcast. I am your host, David V. Lewis, and per usual, we have another fantastic guest who represents Black excellence in some parts of the world. Today's guest is Stanford Wilkinson. Stanford, say hello to the world.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me.
All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about Stanford. He's going to tell us his story. I bumped into him at my school's graduation. He was the keynote speaker. And that's how we come to create this opportunity for the Dripping in Black. Very impressed with the young man in that environment. So thought I wanted to have him on, and we've had a little conversation. We made it happen. But we always begin by introducing our guests to our audience. And I introduced them by asking this simple but not so simple question. If I was to say, who is Stanford Wilkinson, how would you respond?
Man, so I'm just a boy from the west side of Detroit, man, who has a big heart for helping people, who has a passion for philanthropy, and especially in particular in the lives of our youth. I'm a grandparents' boy. My parents were always around, but some people say I have an old soul every now and then because I was raised by my grandparents. But that's me in a nutshell. I'm sure we'll pull out some more things as far as me and my story goes throughout this podcast today.
Yeah. So when you say West Side, give us some streets. You know how we doing in Detroit and Michigan. We like the streets.
So I'm from Woodrow, man. Woodrow Wilson. So I'm off right off Davidson and Woodrow Wilson.
Oh yeah, you barely West Side. You almost not West Side. That's pretty close to the East Side.
Yeah. I'm borderline. We still West though. So we right to Davidson. Linwood, Dexter area, that's probably more popular. But yeah, I'm right there, Woodrow, born and raised, man.
And what schools did you attend?
So I went elementary school. I went to Stewart Elementary School, which was on over there on Glendale and 12th Street. Then I went to middle school. I went over St. Timothy Lutheran School on 7th and Evergreen. And then moving on to high school, I went to Central High School over there in the neighborhood, but then it got real crazy over there. My parents they said you got to get out of here, so I was upset with that decision, man, and I left there and went to Renaissance High School for a while, and I ended up we were living too far from there, so that's how I ended up at Robichaud and finished the last 2 years at Robichaud High School. Ended up graduating from there.
Yeah, well, yeah, quite a travel there. School wise.
Yes, I bounced around, but
for a minute it sounded like the beginning of the Fresh Prince. That's had a little problem.
Hey, man, I was all for it because my whole family's from that area. I have a big family. My dad has 14 brothers and sisters, all by the same parents who all grew up in that area. So we're deeply rooted in that area. So I had a bunch of cousins that were at the school at the time. Bunch of neighborhood kids that I grew up with, so I was good. But the stuff hit the news, and Dad was like, "Man, it's time to." I think there was a shooting or something, and Dad was like, "I didn't even have a school to go to." He just said, "You can't go back there." So we figured it out.
Yeah,
figured it out after that.
Yeah.
So
I was out. All right, so let's get into this. I find you very interesting because how old are you?
30, just turned 30 in May. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And you look like you're about 22 to me.
Yeah, man.
And so I think that's what jumped out at me immediately at the graduation was, who is this young guy? And then when we started talking, you said you're mentoring.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, wow, okay. So
Mhm.
let's talk about your program. What's the name of your program?
Name of my program is called the Determined Exceptional Fearless Youth Program.
Mhm.
Better known as the Defy program. So we're a
Mhm.
nonprofit, originally a nonprofit mentoring program, based in southeastern Michigan. But now we've ventured out. I mean, not ventured out, but we've spread branched out and from mentoring to we have a financial literacy program where we teach the importance of financial education to not only youth but to whole families as well. We have
Wow.
a STEM program, a robotics program, where we teach all the tech stuff and coding, engineering, and then we have we're doing a passion pursuit program, which basically whatever the kids they heart set out to do, we want to put them in a position to have access to be able to pursue it and learn about it and navigate in those directions. So man, we have
Mhm.
a music studio. Well, I'll get into what the facility we just acquired in a bit here, but yeah, that's
Okay.
pretty much the Defy program and what we do.
Yeah. So I'm still tripping. So I'm thinking you must have started this program when you left Central.
Man, you would think so, man. You would think so, but
Mhm.
when I don't know. It's to answer your question. It's been 2 years since we started, man. But
Okay.
we've hit the ground running, and we've opened, and some doors have opened for us, and we've been in
Hmm.
positions that I couldn't even imagine we would be in as soon as we are. So it's just definitely a blessing to be in the positions that we're in. But yeah, it's only been 2 years since we've been determined officially a nonprofit organization.
Okay. And why? Why did you do this?
Man, so people in particular has always been a passion for me, man.
Hmm.
Just helping folks. I come from, like I said, I come from a big family, and that's what we were, built on. So I was doing it and helping people, in the streets and doing it for some of the wrong reason in the wrong way. So, there's some things that came up in life where I had to take a pivot or go, come to the fork in the road and go left or go right. So, I had to find a way
Hmm.
to really tap into my passion and navigate my energy into the right, the right direction. So, what I mean? I always had a passion for people since I've been a kid. So I just, I found an interest in developing and helping youth where I can and having guidance and sharing my story with them and hopefully, they can be a better person. So that was essentially the passion for
Yeah.
for starting this whole thing.
Yeah. So I think what I'm hearing here is, as a youth, you were exposed to a lot of things, right? Some good, some not so good, and you had to make a decision which way to go. But in that, perhaps maybe trying to guide others away from some of those not so good things is what helped birth this program.
Right.
Is that
Right.
is that pretty close?
Yes, yes, very, very close. You head on. Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir. So as
Okay. So
I'll jump on that for a minute. So as
okay.
as I was growing up, I didn't have it. I wouldn't sit here and tell you that I had it, the hardest. But there were times where we had to share a lot of stuff. Like I said, I had a big family, so stuff had to be distributed evenly throughout, the family. But I didn't have it, hard. We were never just like dirt poor, but we had to survive at the same time. But
Yeah.
I had part of my family, they were some of the guys, they were in the streets and I don't know how you say successful. I wouldn't say successful at doing it because that's not a thing to be successful at. But they were doing
Hmm.
pretty well for themselves by doing the wrong thing. You know what I mean? So, you know, um,
Gotcha.
and then another side of my family, they were professionals and corporate America and entrepreneurs. So I had the best of both worlds to look at, but
Mm-hmm.
the fast way and the flashy way is always looks more appealing, to especially a young person. So, I
Yeah.
kind of veered off to the left a little bit and started taking, to that lifestyle, you know what I mean? And so, you know, I went to college, came home from college, man, and started thought I knew what I was doing and thought I was gonna do, and I actually started doing pretty well myself at doing the wrong things. You know what I mean? So, just
Mm-hmm.
being around the wrong people. So the turn of events in my life, it was probably one of my biggest stories where I'm able to impact people. Not only that I played that game and was successful, little successful doing so. Um, one day I was unfortunate chain of events. I was shot 5 times, during a
Wow.
robbery, So,
Okay.
with that, I had to, go through the whole surgery process. Had to learn how to walk again. Had 2 surgeries after that. As relate to that same issue. So, that was a eye opener. And not even then, not even immediately after that, that I kind of flipped the switch and was like, I still after recovering and thing, I still dabbled a little bit, but this that's the way it went. And so after that,
Yeah.
it was a couple years even after that that I still was not on the right track. So it was a growing process, and I had to really sit down, taking some bumps and bruises, playing in the streets and playing that game, and also just taking a bunch of losses financially, a bunch of losses of close people to me, even friends as well as relatives losing their life playing that same game. So that was more of an eye
Yeah.
opener to me to say, hey man, what is it that you're going to do? You know what I mean? You know better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like I didn't know no other way. You know what I mean? It's just that's what I chose to do.
Yeah.
So, I had to that was the turning point for me as far as is shifting and navigating into what I'm doing now and fulfilling my purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, man. That's a lot there. I was thinking when you were talking, there has to be something that made him, make a decision. And then when you said you got shot, I thought that was it. But then you said you kept dibbling and dabbling. So it was a combination of things, but ultimately it was what you knew to be right.
Certainly, certainly.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So the FI program, if a youngster comes in and becomes a part of that program, what are they getting?
So, like I mentioned earlier, man, just access and opportunity, man. Like I said, my goal is to provide every kid I come across with access to be able to do whatever it is that they want to do. If I can
Yeah.
do it or have the knowledge to do it myself, that's why we partner with these different organizations. That's why we partner with these different professionals to teach these kids and set up courses. They set up job shadowing to pursue their passion. That's what my curriculum is written off of. It's called a passion pursuit program. So that's what
Okay.
I based it off of. So we partner with these different organizations. We actually just acquired a 10,000 square foot facility here out in Ypsilanti
Okay.
um, now. So what we have here, we partner with a company called Unite STEM. One of our partners there, they have a STEM program with what they teach here. And then we have a robotics program. We're building out a music studio where kids can come in and have a voice, because everybody's into rap. Everybody want to be a rapper now. So we're bringing them
Yeah.
a place where they can do it safely and have a platform
Mm.
to not only have a voice and record music and work on their music, but to also learn the ins and outs of that industry. So from learning the whole engineering process to learning the whole loops of record labels and A&Rs and things like that. So
Yeah.
that's a part of what we do. We have a photography room. Kids that are interested in photography and videography, we're building out a room to do that. So like I said, the access is the main thing, man. Because we're so our communities and our culture is so um, underprivileged, and overlooked when it comes to having
Yeah.
resources. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's that's
Yeah.
that's that's the big picture, and what we want to provide and have been successful. I think if I was to give an overview in doing so. So we're just trying to extend our arms a little bit and touch more kids and actually have more things in house where they are able to pursue.
Yeah. I know my producer is thinking, man, I've been talking to him specifically about a program that I started at Robichaud
Hmm.
called Robishaw's Finest.
Hmm.
And what I do is have teachers recommend students. And what the students I'm looking for are the ones that we miss, the ones that, are good kids. They may not be your academic high flyers, they may not be athletic, but they're the kids that come in and they're on point. The teachers like them, they appreciate their presence. A knucklehead may be acting up, and these kids are still on point and doing what they're supposed to do. And the schools do very little to recognize those kids, right? If you're an academic all-star, we have stuff in place for you. If you're, athlete, we have stuff in place for you. And if you're a knucklehead, they got all kind of stuff and resources for them. But the kids that are actually on point, we kind of overlook them. So I started this program, and what I wanted to be able to do with them is give them access to different things, just for them. Maybe it sparks a light in them. And so you and I are going to definitely have to talk post recording about how we can make this a full circle thing and have you come back to Robichaud and see where we can work to get those kids some exposure to some of the
Certainly,
connects you have, man.
certainly, man. It's definitely necessary in the lives of these kids. I know when you were growing up, I caught the tail end of it. Like I said, I was raised by grandparents, so I was, kind of before my time, if you will. But the saying was so common. It takes a village to raise a child, and I think we got away and strayed away from that, man. You know what I mean? Because we're at a age where parents and all this stuff, they want to be the kid's friend and do all
Yeah.
this crazy stuff. Nobody has any guidance, so. You know what I mean? I am who I am because people had their hands on me and was able to, you know, keep their hands on me long enough for me to make it turn. You know what I mean? They didn't give up on
Yeah.
me, and they didn't allow me to stray away too far. So I'm definitely grateful for that, and
Yeah.
I intend to pay that forward as much as I can.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's a question I like to ask. You're 2 years into the game, right? And you're at a certain level. Now we're talking about the next level, right? If there was a switch that you could flip to take you from where you are to the next level you want to be at, what would that switch entail?
So doing what we're doing just on a way bigger scale. My idea is to have few locations initially throughout Michigan, particularly in the southeastern Michigan, Detroit, Ypsi, Ecorse, Inkster areas. But to to answer your question, probably a few facilities throughout
Hmm.
the state of Michigan where where we provide just access and opportunity to these kids to do have a space, you know what I mean, where they can learn, where they can grow, and they can have guidance and some leadership there who care who genuinely cares about them outside of just being there for a paycheck. You know what I mean? So that's the
Yeah.
vision, and
Yeah.
that's the plan, and that's where we plan to work on too, as long as I'm able to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then my follow up to that is, all right, we have an audience. Our goal is to get this podcast where it's being seen by gobs of viewers all over the world. All right. And so how can our viewers and listeners support you in taking you to the next level? What is something they can tangibly do to help you push you towards that goal?
And so that goes back to continuing our conversation about just having people to be there for these kids. So a lot of the programs that we have, we had to get the space, of course, we had to get the equipment, but a lot of the programs that we run are strictly people, who are well off in these particular professions just coming in and just sharing their time with these kids. You know what I mean? We have professional photographers who come in and teach courses free of charge to us and to the kids.
Mm,
We have different people from different career fields who just comes in voluntarily. That's one way, just whatever you're good at, even if it's just being able to tell your story and mentor. We need that all the
yeah,
time. And of course, ultimately, supporting us financially in any way, because none of
yeah,
this stuff is free. So
yeah, yeah.
they can go to our website defyprogram.org and check out exactly everything we're doing now, and support us in that way as well.
Okay, good. So give that website again, and then is there any other process they go through to kind of contact you for that human resource that you need
Yes,
as well?
so actually, everything is there, as far as supporting, and also just contacting as a volunteer sign up form on there as well. But that's defyprogram.org. That's DEFY program.org. And my information is on there as well. Um, to reach out to me directly. My phone number's not on there because I don't want a bunch of kids calling me. And,
Yeah,
but my email is on there, and our email is on there, and there's some registration forms and things like that where they can sign up and volunteer to just be hands on, or even if they want to volunteer their services to carry out the passion of these kids.
yeah, yeah. And it's quite a job, right? When you're mentoring to an underprivileged, a minoritized group of people, it comes with a different set of challenges, right?
Oh yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about some of those challenges that you faced in dealing with our community.
Okay, so number one is not having the same reinforcement at home.
Yeah,
They can come in the building, they can come like where you are, they can come into school, man, and you can mold them and teach them the right stuff. And then when they go home, it's not the same. You're not getting the same reinforcement. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah,
like we can only spend so much time pouring into them, and if it's not reinforced at home, that makes it kind of difficult to
yeah,
for it to stay on the straight and narrow. Also, like we spoke on earlier, just having the resources, man. We don't have the resources, like, I mean, Westwood, Detroit, out here in Ypsilanti, they don't have the school districts in particular don't have the resources that other
yeah,
surrounding communities have. Ann Arbor, Bloomfield, Troy. You know what I mean? So that's also a big a big factor in doing what we do. Like I said, because none of the stuff that we need is free. You know what I mean? So I
yeah,
think, just like even out here, I think the Ypsilanti community gets I think about 7 grand per kid, and a mile up the road in Ann Arbor they get like 13 grand per kid. You know what I mean, from federal funding. So you know what I mean. What
yeah,
So it's, the resources are it's a big gap, man. So that's
yeah,
those are two of the main problems, and the main main issues
yeah,
with that, man. And then you
yeah,
can see the difference in our facilities, and our schools. And you cross over there, the schools are way nicer. They have way more,
yeah. No, no doubt.
upgraded
I
things.
mean,
So
you
it's
may
it's
see some middle schools
yes,
that look like
yes,
universities,
yes. So
and our high schools look like middle schools.
right, right. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's we can't do too much complaining, as we've already have
yeah,
throughout all these years. Even when I was in school, it's always been a conversation. We just had to do what we got with what we got, to come together as collective community, and do what we got to do to pull resources we can from every angle we can to make these kids successful.
yeah, man. I just find the work you're doing to be very impressive. And my thought is, it's a great challenge. You're a young man. There's a whole host of things you could be doing. You speak well. You're educated. Like you said, you've had both sides of the world kind of in front of you, and you know both of them well. And so there's all these avenues for you to go, and you chose this one. What's your reward?
Man, my reward is, man, just having the satisfaction of what I do to be impactful.
Yeah.
That's the number one reason to see that I've, if not me directly, that my program or the people of my program have made a difference in the lives of some of the kids that we touch. That's what makes me happy, man. That's what makes me grind my gears. That's what makes me grind harder, man. Because I know that it's working. You know what I mean? So that's rewarding in a sense of personal reward. I mean, as far as the reward of just living, man. I mean, I've doing the right thing. I've been, like I said, I've been blessed, and so many doors have opened. I've connected with so many different good people, and and made so many good relationships by doing the work that I do. So that's definitely rewarding within itself. So I don't have any complaints. I'm living well and doing the right thing for myself. So it's definitely a reward to just be the person that I definitely think I am supposed to be. So
Yeah, yeah. A powerful story, man. More of the youth needs to hear your story. Gives them something to look towards, right? Like you said, a lot of kids want to be rappers and everything. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but there's also other ways that we can impact the world and live well at the same time, right? My producer is asking, what college did you attend?
left Robichaud, and man, I had a like a 3.7, 3.8 GPA, and I had the opportunity to go to pretty much any college that I wanted to go to, but I wasn't
Wow.
thinking about college, so I sat around, and one of my boys, my best friend actually went to Robichaud. He played basket. He had a basketball scholarship to play at Adrian College. So we were just sitting at his house one day, probably about 2 weeks before college was supposed to start, and I got all these offers and I ain't picked one. So I'm like, man, I'm just gonna go to Adrian. So I ended up at Adrian College, and
Wow.
I did about 2.5 years there, and then I came home, and that's when I told you, I those chain of events happened. So I never went back and got to finish school, um, college wise. But as far as this question, I did go to Adrian College for a couple years.
Okay. So I got a few more things. What year did you come out of Robichaud?
2009.
Okay, 2009. Do you
Yes.
remember any teachers there? You want to shout some of them teachers out?
Man, you know what? I'm so bad with names, man, but
Okay.
I do have some teachers that I do remember. Mr. Crump was there when I was there. I think he was the basketball
Okay.
coach,
Vernon
and
Crump.
yes, yes, yes. Vernon Crump, he was one of my teachers as well. But we connected and had a good relationship, and he was one of those guys that would always tell me, I was special and I would be going somewhere, and he reminded me of that constantly. So definitely shout out to him. Mr. Tony Semi-Farrell was math
Okay.
teacher there. I had calculus, I believe, or some crazy hard class, whatever it was. And but I mean, outside of just being a teacher, he was definitely one that I saw his heart. He was genuine about what he did for the kids there and for the school district, and he was definitely passionate about his kids outside of just teaching. Um,
Yeah.
Miss Lucy Rogers, she was
Okay.
I think she retired as a counselor there, but
Okay.
she was a some type of home ec teacher or something like that. But she ended up being a counselor the last year I was there, man. And she was, man, she was phenomenal. Like I said about Mr. Crumb, she always would, knew I had knew I had some talent, knew I was special, and would always tell me I would be successful. But man, the conversations I had with her, and the vision she had for me, even when I didn't see it for myself, is just phenomenal. I'll never forget her. And the list goes on. Like I said, I'm horrible with names, but I can tell you, if I see the face, I can tell them that's what it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, Robichaud, I mean, for what it is, it was a great family community, man. Like I said, I didn't get there till like 11th grade, so but
Hmm.
they embraced me, and I feel like I've been out there, all all since I was a kid. I fit right
Yeah.
in out there. So I didn't do
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. That's
I didn't do much schooling because all the teachers thought I was special. So I kind of kind of finessed my way through there, doing some doing a lot of work that I should have did that I didn't have to do.
well, there's for us educators, there's schooling and there's educating.
Right.
Schooling is just a process of,
Oh,
processing
sorry,
the students from one step.
Coach Bohannon as well too. But that's my guy over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a few of the names I recognize. Vernon Crump was I want to say he was the athletic director when I got there.
Yes. Yeah.
And then also he's almost operating as the vice principal. Really cool dude. Semi-fair, I met him. He might have been there for a year before he actually departed and went to a different school. As far as I can see, he was a pretty cool guy as well. I never met Lucy Rogers. And the last person you mentioned, Bohannon, I kind of know him kind of passing through because I think he works more with the younger kids and everything, but definitely know him when I see him. But yeah.
Yeah, I think he's an administrative staff at the middle school, elementary school or something now.
Yeah. Yeah. All quality people, man. So we have one final question that we always ask our guests to close it out. It's the most important question, however. So embrace yourself, get yourself ready for this one. All right. You set,
right.
you ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Have you ever been on the cover of a magazine?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you remember what the magazine was?
The magazine, one of them was just recently, is 3RY magazine. Probably just in August. I was on the cover of the August edition. So.
Okay. All right. It's 3RY magazine,
Yes.
and you said a couple of them.
No, I was some as a kid, but 3RY was just recent. I was on their August 2021 edition. They're company, they're a company based out of Michigan. So they did a kind of similar story on me there. Just acknowledging my story and what I do, and put me on this platform as an influencer and a mover and a shaker. But they think they gave me a little more credit than I deserve, but I'll take it. I'll take it.
Well, we're not to be outdone here.
Yeah.
One of the things we do for every guest that we have is we place them on a Dripping in Black magazine cover.
Oh,
and
man.
So my producer is going to put your cover up so you can get a sneak peek.
Look at that.
Yeah. All right. And so that will be the cover. We will mock it up and get it all, nice and pretty for you. And it will also be a parting gift. So if you look over my shoulders, there's quite a few Dripping in Black alumni whose magazine covers on the what I call the Dripping in Black Alumni Hall of Fame, Wall of Fame. All right, so you will get that in the mail in the not too distant future.
Glad to be a part. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, my brother Stanford Wilkinson, we want to thank you for coming out. We look forward to seeing the great things you have in store in the future and perhaps having you come back on at a later date.
Thank you for having me, man. This has been great.
Yeah, we will definitely stay in touch. We got some other work we got to do together. We're going to ask our audience to hold on for the final segment called The Last Drip. But our thanks again to Mr. Stanford Wilkinson.
Thank you.
Up next, The Last Drip.
Dripping in Black thanks to Stanford Wilkinson for sharing his outstanding story and for the work that he is doing to provide opportunity and access to our underserved youth. However, we have reached the final segment of our podcast called The Last Drip. The Last Drip is the last opportunity for us to squeeze in a bit more of Black excellence for you. In this final segment, we highlight a common thread between our guests and our vast and rich African American history. For this episode, we focus on Black history in the making as we highlight the Black Executive Director Alliance of Detroit, aka BDAD. In the fall of 2020, 9 of Detroit's nonprofit Black leaders came together to form the Black Executive Director Alliance of Detroit. BDAD includes Tiffany Brown, founder and executive director of Developing Despite Distance; Renee Fluker, founder and president of the Midnight Golf Program; Nicole Wilson, executive director of The Union, Union spelled Y-U-N-I-O-N; Richard Grundy, co-founder and CEO of Journey, Journey spelled J-O-U-R-N-I; Keisha Jackson, founder and executive director of Caleb's Kids; Eric Miller, founder and president of the Lawn Academy; Courtney Smith, founder and CEO of Detroit Phoenix Center, as well as the 2 co-founders of BDAD, Anise Hayes, founder and executive director of Atlantic Impact, and Kim Johnson, founder, president, and CEO of Developing Kids. Kids stands for Kingdoms in Different Stages. Each of these 9 nonprofits are youth-serving organizations. While each organization remains their own separate entity, they are working together as a part of BDAD to create an ecosystem of support for their organizations as well as the youth that they serve. These 9 individuals and their respective organizations are using their collective resources to provide well-rounded support to underserved youth and to strive for racial equality for Black organizations across the nonprofit landscape. For the many lives that they are impacting, the Black Executive Director Alliance of Detroit, aka BDAD, is this episode's last drip. For more on the Black Executive Director Alliance of Detroit, check out modelmedia.com, michiganchronicle.com, and click on detroit.com. My thanks to all of these websites for the knowledge. The Drippin' in Black podcast can be found on the DIBK channel on YouTube. Subscribe, comment, like, and share. Our audio podcast can be found on the most popular podcast platforms. Also, you can like us and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at DIBK20. My thanks to all of our listeners, viewers, supporters, and subscribers. And until next time, be kind, be loving, and be excellent on purpose. It is a choice.
You have just experienced a Dripping in Black production.